Now it can be really, really handy to learn the names of the notes in their positions. This will serve you in all kinds of ways for being able to play scales and figure out what everything is on the guitar, and also for kind of the positions and you're playing in, and also the kind of the way the chord is constructed and what chord you might actually be playing. This is handy. So just to really quickly look at this, and this will help it start to unlock. You'll probably learn the two outside strings first and their notes, and you'll probably learn them up to about the 3rd fret quickly, and then maybe 4th, 5th fret pretty quickly, and you'll start to sort of gain that understanding further up the neckboard. And you maybe, come in maybe on the A string and start to learn bits of that next, okay? So those are the ones that are probably going to sink in that order. So you'll learn the two E's together because they're the exact same. Something on the E string at the 3rd fret is the same as the E string at the 3rd fret. Okay, so they're just 2 octaves apart. Now, when you played an E major before, you played the E string, the bass E string, and the other E strings open. Now, that formed, and we'll look at the bass E string here, because it just simplifies it. That formed an E major, and with the E string open as the root note in the bass. Okay, you're also playing the E, solidifying it 2 octaves up there. Pretty cool. Open likewise. That's what a guitar can do sometimes. It can play like higher other versions of that note, but it's still the same chord, okay? Right, so if we were to, say, take the capo and put that on the 1st fret, you learnt about the capo in the last video, okay, put it on the 1st fret, then everything's gone up by 1. So if you then play an E shape open with the capo at the 1st fret, and this is the only place you could put it, as if you're playing it like open below, you're then playing 1 up from the E, which is F. Remember, it goes E to F is the straight jump, and then it goes F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Right, okay. Just like that, B to C is that straight jump, right? There's just those two to learn. Okay, so E becomes F. Interestingly, now when you're playing that bass E string and that high E string, you're technically now, because of the capo, playing them at the 1st fret, and 1 fret up is F. So that tells you are still playing the root, and it's that root that is basically helping you find that that chord is called the F. It's instructing the chord to be the F because you're playing that note open now. It doesn't have to, not specifically that it's open, but it happens to be open. If you could, happen to play something without the capo, where you could, I don't know, use your last 3 fingers to make an E, and use your finger, your 1st finger, to like put it across the fret and act like a capo, that would be called a bar chord. We won't go into that yet. That will be to come because it exerts a lot of muscle and pressure, okay? Let's just get these down. So we're doing it with the capo. We're talking to you about that. Capo, the 1st fret, the E shape is an F. Okay. If you put it up 1 more, the E shape is an F sharp. Put it up 1 more and it's a G. Now that's interesting. So we know the 3rd fret is a G because we've just counted up using E's. But then let's rewind and look at when you learned a G shape, that used the E, A and the other E with as fingering, and yet the others were all open in the middle, right? That was the G shape. So when you play a G, your E strings, both of them, in fact, take a look at the G, or you may remember, and if you don't remember, hold a G now. Take a look at it, and you will see that the 2 E strings, not with the capo on, the 2 E strings are at the 3rd fret, and we've just counted up. E is open, F, F sharp, G. E is open, F, F sharp, G. So we know the 3rd fret is G. Okay, so you holding it in that position happens to be creating that G root at both ends. The octaves, 2 octaves apart, right? Pretty cool. So you see how this is beginning to unlock for you. You're kind of learning those 2 outside strings just by the virtue of you messing around with chords and knowing, well, a chord in the 3rd position, That's the G. Third position's G note, right? So you're learning your root, which is great. So let it kind of sink in just by the doing. And you can take that a step further. We won't go too many steps along, but the simple step next would be, the B that you learned. So you remember, that B where you held like an A shape and you played that A shape at like the 4th fret, and then you can say, I don't know, hold your first finger on the A string at the 2nd fret, and then you're playing a B, right? So normally when you play the A string open with an A shape, you're playing an A major, right? And that A string is doing the same job as the E was doing for the E shape, right? It's that root note. So when you move it up to, it's acting just like the same thing again. It's going A sharp, B. Or in fact, B flat, A sharp, B flat, interchangeable, right? Okay. So, A shape at the 1st fret, B flat. One more, B. Cool. So, you'll begin to unlock it there. And if you go up one more, what have we got? We've got a C. Interestingly, and when you hold a C chord, you happen to be holding the A string at the 3rd fret, which is creating the root of the C, because we don't play the E at all. It's an X. So there we go. Just like the beginnings of learning notes on the guitar. That should help, and it will all begin to sort of unlock as you go. Osmosis.